What's going on, everybody? September 17th, 2021. I am filming this. It's pretty late, and this may even warrant a longer video and more formal video, like my usual format, but we're going to see how things turn out. But it still is a pretty big story. Business Insider just came out with an article talking about how Facebook was almost kicked off of the Apple App Store due to human traffickers operating an entire syndicate and operation, selling human beings for slave labor, essentially, or domestic work, whatever you want to call it. They're selling humans for labor using Facebook's platform. Now, this was an undercover operation, not by law enforcement, but by some just investigative journalists, BBC. And this was an investigative report that was done undercover. And not only did it reveal this operation happening on Facebook under the guise of an employment agency, by the way, I'll get into that in just a moment, but it also reveals that Facebook knew about it. Facebook knew about it since maybe 2018. I don't have the article in front of me just due to me doing this on the phone and the way the editing program works, but you should be able to see the article next to me. But either way, the point is that Facebook knew about this human trafficking operation under the guise of an employment agency before any action was taken on it, to combat it, to get rid of it. So they didn't kick them off the platform. They didn't do really anything. Now, their excuse is in one way understandable, but in another way completely absurd, and I'll tell you why. The reason it is understandable, quote unquote, is because they claim, and now that I'm actually thinking about this, it's not really understandable at all, because it's not their job to do this. This would be the job of law enforcement, but they claim they knew about it ahead of time and did nothing because they needed to trace, their contacts, how the operation works, who else was involved, etc., etc., etc. Like I said, I can't see the article. I tried my best to get the shortened, summarized details for you, but like I said, the article is to your left, and I will link it below in the description. So it sounds reasonable on its front, right, on its face, right, to have known about this going on but have not done anything. Oh, well, we were just trying to do the right thing to fully understand who was involved in order to take action. But of course, no action was actually taken until, if I'm understanding this and reading this article correctly, until this damning investigative undercover report from BBC came out, which basically prompted Apple to say, what the fuck, man, what is going on? And they threatened Facebook, right? Apple threatened Facebook to get off their app store. Look, if you're going to allow this to happen, if you're going to keep human traffickers on your platform, you're leaving the fucking app store, man. You have no right, as if they would actually do that, right? But that's allegedly what happened, according to this Business Insider article. Now, it's not only Business Insider that's covering this, by the way. I mean, there's multiple different websites, news outlets that are covering this. I saw an article done by The Hill. There's the standard fare. The standard outlets are covering this. Now, this is what really stood out to me. Notice, it doesn't seem significant at first. But you remember how the human traffickers were using the cover story, the cover image of an employment agency. And that was, in order to facilitate the selling of human beings for what we're told is labor, work, right? Whatever that might be, as if rape, sexual assault never plays into it, right? Because if a business that actually purchased those human beings thinks that's proper to do, to buy a human from Facebook, as if that's in any way, shape, or form normal, as if they'd stop at, whoa, buddy. No, I just buy them. I don't touch them. It's like, come on, man. So I can't tell if they're doing damage control by just keeping it limited, like a limited hangout to, it was just for labor, as if that's any worse or better, because, it could be fucking slave labor. They could be It's horrific. It's terrible. And the fact that Facebook let it go, I mean, we don't have any details as to whether or not they alerted the authorities at the time. I imagine if they did alert the authorities, I would think that the authorities would have removed the offending account, the employment agency that was actually the human trafficking front. It's up to the law enforcement. It's not Facebook's job to go undercover and trace this criminal syndicate. It's not their job at all, right? And yet they decided to take it upon themselves to do it. So I am kind of skeptical. I don't doubt. I don't have faith that Facebook would have done the right thing. and contacted law enforcement and allowed them to do that. Instead, for whatever reason, Facebook decided to do the job themselves and got fucked because of that investigative report that came out, that undercover report that revealed this whole thing. But note something very important. They were using the guise of an employment agency. Guys, is that not a form of code, right? Now, this we don't know if these are children, adults, the way, like I said, limited information, and as if it matters, it's human trafficking. And it shouldn't happen, despite being the biggest industry on the planet, right? And there's a global slave trade. There's a massive marketplace for it. We've learned that through our studies, right? And it's only, hopefully, you know, more people come to find out about just how prominent, just how severe it is. And those that live have the luxury of living in a first world, you know, what, if you want to call it that, country, such as the United States, Canada, the UK, whatever, man. Like, we aren't confronted with these horrific realities every day, right? Because it's not in the cards for us. Even though it does happen here, for most of us, it goes unnoticed. So for Facebook to just completely ignore it and take it upon themselves as if they can do anything about it, Meanwhile, they're banning people like you, like me, and other people that are trying to reveal this very behavior. So perhaps it illuminates why Facebook might have a dog in this fight in banning us, right? Because they apparently want to be superheroes and do the investigating of criminal syndicates themselves that are using their platform that is facilitating this criminal syndicate. So they ban us because, I want to catch the bad guys. Yeah. Okay, sure. Right? And like I said, as if it's only for labor. Like, that's bad enough, but still, as if it's limited to that. But the point is that they're using a form of code, right? They made probably a fake employment agency with a fake banner, a fake business name, and the communication was probably also coded. Now, what I love about this article, which is fucking hysterical, is the fact that one of the reasons they said they struggled with this type of content is that Facebook's AI, that is responsible for a lot of moderation, can't detect all languages and therefore probably had quite some trouble identifying and removing, this type of offensive content, aka a wide-reaching criminal syndicate that sells humans on their platform. And I'm sorry, I just find that outlandish. I find that hard to believe because they seem extremely effective at limiting, suppressing, and censoring a huge amount of speech, a large amount of speech. And I'm not just talking about conspiracy theorists, guys. I'm talking about anyone that brings up anything against the mainstream narrative, the accepted way of thinking, the acceptable beliefs that they've somehow managed to corral us into, which is not a surprise. We knew this would be coming, but it's funny how when you're in it, you don't see it happening until you're already in it. So we'll see if this story gets any more elaborate, but here we have an indication that Facebook is helping facilitate these things, guys. You can make an argument that it's an accident, that this, that, the other thing, but the fact that they knew and they didn't do anything about it, and they instead took the, like, for instance, they were tracing the origins, tracing the people, maybe they would have handed that info over to the law enforcement, okay? But here's the thing, man, if they didn't send that data to law enforcement right away, that's multiple months, perhaps even a year, where these people were selling human beings, okay? And it was only because they could have been stopped. They could have been apprehended and prevented from operating any further had they done the right thing. Had they just archived the records, takes a second, right? Or however long, probably less than a fucking year of Facebook's researching a criminal syndicate, which is not in their fucking skill set, right? They could have been apprehended, they could have been stopped, and perhaps human beings, I don't know, may not have been sold on Facebook's platform. But anyway, guys, shout outs to Mark Zuckerberg, human trafficking syndicate facilitator. I appreciate you watching. Let's keep an eye on this story, guys. Let's see how much, how bigger it gets, if it does get any bigger. But another inkling that these people aren't who they say we are, as if we ever believed them to begin with. But anyway, links in the description below if you wish to tip. All the links are below: Venmo, Cash App, all that good stuff. Most importantly, more important than those, in fact, are the links to social media. I also have a new Hive account, hive.blog/@MemoryHold7. Those are where the show notes are going to be from now on, although I'm just going to go ahead and make it easy for you because this is a short video. The link to the article is just in the description below. And new email, MemoryHold7@protonmail.com for tips, business inquiries, or whatever else, man. I'll see you guys later.